Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Motorsport What If. This one is possibly one of the biggest what ifs in motorsport, and that is, what if Ayrton Senna survived his crash at Imola in 1994? Now of course in our timeline this didn't actually happen and he died, but what if he didn't die, and what if he came out of that crash unscathed? So, let's start off with 1994. Would he have won the 1994 championship had he survived at Imola? My question, or my answer is no. I don't think he would have won in 1994. I mean, look at Damon Hill. I mean, Damon Hill already had a few points on the table compared to Senna. And really, to win a championship, you cannot DNF 3 times in a row. That's almost suicidal for a championship, fight. And of course, maybe Senna could have won the next few races, like on the trot, but really, I do not see him, being how much he was struggling in that car already, to win the championship. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. He was completely uncomfortable with the car, and yeah, I think he would have not won the championship in 1994. 1995 would be the same story, and the fact of the matter is that Benetton was just the much quicker car. Schumacher and Benetton just controlled the championship, really, and so Senna would again lose the championship. 1996, now that's a different story. 1996 would be Ayrton Senna's 4th world championship, I would think. Damon Hill would obviously take a backseat to Senna. He would play the number 2, and so Senna would take most of Damon's wins. Now 1997, this also comes in line with the fact that Jacques Villeneuve will never come into Formula 1 because, well, he doesn't have the Williams seat to come into. So, and this would also, I think, keep Frentzen away from the Williams seat as well. So 1997, I think, would be the same story. Senna would get 5 world championships. And now, at this point, it could either go either way. He could retire in 1997 because he would be in the sport for 13 years at that point. But I do think that he would have stayed on for another 2 seasons, really. I think he would stay for Williams in 1998, but for 1999, he would move over to McLaren yet again to finish his career there and get one final championship, which would be his 6th. But if Senna joined McLaren a year earlier in 1998, I think he would have won the championship again. But then again, we don't really know, because at this point Senna would begin to get old, and so therefore he wouldn't be as great as he was before. So we don't really know. But I can assume that in 1999 he will win the championship with McLaren and announce his retirement, and yeah, just walk away from the sport and basically just start to work on his charity work, which he was already planning before he died. Fun fact, it wasn't actually Senna that created the Senna Foundation. It was actually his sister Vivienne. But I do think Senna would eventually have created the charity himself had he survived, and so yeah, I think he would have retired and then gone out on to help Brazil and maybe become a politician and maybe become the president of Brazil. I would think that would happen. I mean, it's not uncommon for drivers to go for presidencies. I think I can't remember. someone, I can't remember who it is. I know who the driver is, I just can't put a name on it. But he went into the Argentinian elections. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember. Sorry. But yeah, so Senna would lose the championship in 1994-95, win the championship in 96-97, lose the championship in 98 if he stayed at Williams, would have won the championship if he'd gone to McLaren, and would have won the 1999 championship because he would have moved on to McLaren. I'm pretty certain of that, in the way of David Coulthard. And really, in total, Michael Schumacher, I mean, you would think Michael Schumacher would lose the most out of this. You know, his championships, you know, most of them would have been won by Ayrton Senna. But in fact, actually, he would have still won both of his titles at Benetton, and he would still won the titles at Ferrari. You know, and so, yeah, so Senna would eventually have finished with either 6 or 7 titles, and Schumacher would still keep his 7 titles as well. Now we go on to possibly one of the biggest changes in this timeline which we have created, which is safety implemented after 1994 at Imola would not exist. And for the sole reason is, despite the fact that Roland Ratzenberger crashed and died the day before, he didn't have enough star power for it to be a PR disaster. You know, this would not have the FIA go, oh my goodness, one of our biggest stars, you know, in the history of Formula 1 has now been killed. We got to do something about this. No, this was just an average driver who, to be fair, if he didn't crash and die at Imola, would have been, well, forgotten, really. And so Roland Ratzenberger wouldn't really have a following or, you know, a support or the love that Senna had. And so really his death would be insignificant, in my opinion. This would unfortunately make the fact that Mika Häkkinen could have possibly have died at Adelaide, and 12 years later, in 2007, or 13, I don't know, but in 2007 this would also mean that Robert Kubica would have died at Canada, because, well, pretty much everything which was implemented after 1994, well, the safety implemented in the past few years, before 2007, would have saved his life, really. You know, the Hans device, that kind of stuff, and yeah, it saved his life. Without Senna's death, that technology would not have been developed or created, and so Robert Kubica would have flown head-on into that wall at Canada and would have been killed instantly. And maybe then we could have a change in the safety, of the drivers. This could, would be a massive uproar, given, the time. But really, this would mean that Senna's death, and this is why I constantly tell people, why did he have to die? And I always think there's a reason why he died. Okay, of course it's because it's his car failed or something like among those lines, and he crashed and died. But there's almost like a reason that he died, and that is to improve safety. And it's kind of ironic that Ayrton Senna, the person who wanted the most safety in Formula 1, died to implement safety into Formula 1. And it's kind of poetic in that way. Without Senna's death, there would be no force for change. tracks would remain as dangerous as they were in 1994, and this could possibly have caused Alex Zanardi and Kart to possibly die. This could, you know what I mean. This means that every major crash in Formula 1 could have possibly resulted in a major death. And really, safety would have been held back for about 10 years before something finally was done. Overall, Senna's death is an important part of Formula 1 history because it was the catalyst for safety. It was the catalyst for... It was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call going, hang on a minute, we need to do something here. We've ignored safety for way too long now. We need to improve it now. And, yeah. Had Senna not have died, that safety would not have been implemented, at least at that time. And so would have cost many drivers their lives. So there you have it. That's my what if of if Senna had survived in Imola 1994. Of course, this is one theory. Of course, we don't really know what would have happened, but this is just my theory on what would have happened if Senna had died or survived. Sorry. Yeah. After this video, I think I'll be going to work immediately on the next installment of the Marvel MCU YouTube Poop series. Be sure to check out my previous two YouTube Poops there. They're not really that great, but yeah, I'm trying my best. Try and learn. Just trying my best to make the best YouTube Poops possible. But yeah, I recommend you check them out. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for this video. So post down below your theory on what would have happened if Senna had survived. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.